the reason we're all sitting here today at the State Capture Commission is based on the findings of the Public Protector report. The various role players that have had to come and testify, I mean, that's not what I'm getting into, but some of us have been integral to those investigations. We've sit here alleged of all sorts of wrongdoing, corruption, bribery. You know, it's been going on almost on a daily basis from about 3 years ago. So what I would have expected was a fair opportunity to represent or reflect on my side of the story, like I'm doing here yesterday and today. I didn't get that opportunity. Was communication sent to me? Yes, it was.
Sorry, can I just ask you, perhaps just pointed questions. Were you invited to the Public Protector?
This was towards the tail end, from a time frame perspective towards the tail end. Time-wise, but before the tail end, meaning before the report was finalized. I was traveling at the time. I'd received a phone call. I forget the lady's name that called. And she said she's from the Public Protector's office, and she was checking if I had communication. And I said, I'll check my emails. And she telephonically said, no, check it. We are inviting you just to come and sit and have a discussion, and interview, and just to get your side of the story and the version of events. And I said, cool, I'll check that. Checked the email, and indeed there was an email. Following up, and this was a very short period after the phone call and the email, I received a summons or a subpoena of some sort to appear urgently. And the discussion that I'd had with the representative from the Public Protector's office is, I'm not in the country currently, I'm conducting business. I'm not living in South Africa any longer at that time. So I'll need time, and when I get back, I will look you up and I'll come in and present myself. So that was the sequence of events. And before I could even make those decisions, there was a finalized report that had come out. Now, the reason I'd raised it yesterday is, obviously, I'm sitting here today. I've been mentioned in all sorts of lights. I didn't have an opportunity to give my version of events, and the basis of that report is what this whole State Capture Commission is about. I'm sitting here having to answer all sorts of allegations that could have been answered at that point.
Did the Public Protector make available to you the versions of other persons such as Mr. Jonas, perhaps?
No.
For you to respond to it?
I did not receive any notices. I didn't receive any transcripts. That was, everything I've seen has been post the finalizing of a report.
Good.
But I think before I get to that and answer your question, I'd just like to make a point, if I may.
Of course.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'll have an opportunity to speak ever again, so once I leave this chair, I just want to satisfy that.
Yes, you can make your point.
Thank you. I think there are 3 levels to this whole scenario that need to be satisfied. The first one being, the 3 of them being political, legal, and perception. Now, on the perception front, that is purely on the court of public opinion, which is driven by a narrative that stems from media reports and allegations from wherever they come from. Now, I'm looked at as a criminal. I'm looked at as this face of corruption, this guy that's plundered trillions out of this country, which is not the case, by the way. So I'd just like to say to the public out there, I'm not corrupt. I'm not taking any money from anybody. I never have, and I never will. How they take it, that's not for me to decide. But I just want to make that clear. So when you see me walking around, just know that it's not me. Secondly, there's the legal perspective, which is obviously one of the reasons I'm sitting here today. There have been a lot of legal repercussions stemming out of all sorts of investigations or lack of investigations. I've had to walk in and out of courtrooms. I've had to face charges that I
Right,
shouldn't be
can I
facing.
just ask you there, just be a bit more specific? You were arrested, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what were you arrested for?
This was at the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court, and that was a charge of corruption.
And what did that stem from? What was the complaint?
No, the complaint is the specific matter we're dealing with right now.
The
which
Jonas
is
matter?
The Jonas, yes.
The
that's
Jonas
correct.
meeting?
Yes, that's correct.
And I think, if I may just perhaps assist you, the charges would have been framed under the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act 12 of 2004,
Yes, that's correct.
also known as PRECA,
Yes, sir.
as well as perhaps POCA,
Yes, POCA.
the Prevention of Organised Crime Act of 1998.
I think a lot of the points we've covered, and as Mr. Mokoena said, there's a lot of common cause issues that are a non-starter because we agree on the versions. At this point, I think I've said what I can say. My statement obviously is not as comprehensive as it should be, but I think that's the points that I wanted to cover. A lot of what has been said, I don't know the detail of. I have not checked people's cell phone records, SMSs, phone calls, and whatever else may have been left out of my affidavit. I'm here to comply. I've complied the whole way through, even though it's been made to look like I've been evasive and running away. I've been here 3 times before. This is my 4th time. So I have no issues with complying with the commission. I hope I don't have to see Mrs. Zondo ever again.